It's CCSD Today, your insider's guide to the Charleston County School District. This week, we take a look at two new middle schools. First, we head to James Island and visit Camp Road Middle. Then, it's off to North Charleston for an exclusive look at Deer Park Middle. CCSD Today starts right now.
Hello everybody, I'm Andy Pruitt and you're watching CCSD Today. The newest installment of the show features our newest middle schools in Charleston County School District. As you can see, we're here at Camp Road Middle on James Island. That is the newest middle school. It opened in August. We'll also visit Deer Park Middle School in the north area. That opened in the 16-17 school year. During this episode, we'll hear from the principals of both schools and also break down some of the unique opportunities both schools offer our students across the district. So keep it here. You're watching CCSD Today.
The law firm of Young Clement Rivers has been serving the Charleston Low Country since 1968. All of the lawyers of Young Clement Rivers are proud to be partners with the Charleston County School District. We're convinced that the hard work of the school district employees and staff prepares our young people to face the challenges of the future. We look forward to continuing our partnership and in helping the school district to meet its standard of excellence.
And welcome back inside Camp Road Middle School here. I'm joined by the principal, David Parler. You're a longtime principal in Charleston County School District, a longtime principal for schools on James Island, but you get to be considered new again.
Correct.
What's it been like for you to be the lead administrator here at a facility that has combined two communities? Not the easiest thing to do, but one of the good things we're able to do in this show today is kind of feature some of the positive things that happen and the early success Camp Road Middle is having.
It's been very exciting. What we've been able to do, Andy, is take the best from both worlds and blend it into something completely new and tweak as we go along. And for students, they're having advantages and opportunities that they've not had before.
Speaking on the students, when you bring in students that were going to one school or the other, Fort Johnson Middle School and James Island Middle School. So for sixth graders, this is fine. Right. You know, they were coming out of elementary school. But for those that are in seventh and eighth grade, what's it been like for them to combine and have new classmates? Maybe they knew them from being around James Island, but now they're schoolmates and classmates when before they were at separate middle schools.
Much better than I expected. First of all, you're correct in the fact that James Island is a relatively small community. You know, we're surrounded by water, so we really are a well-defined community. And the kids have grown up together. They went to one of 4 elementary schools together before, as sixth graders, they were separated to go to one of 2 middle schools. They go to church together. They play on sports teams together. But now they're all back together as one. And it's been much better than I expected, especially the 8th graders. I'm very proud of the 8th graders, and actually we had 3 town hall meetings about a week and a half ago. That's a formal assembly where I met with each grade level and we were reteaching some behavior expectations. But with the 8th grade, prior to me even talking about expected behaviors, I just gave them all a pat on the back because I felt like the 8th graders had the most to lose after having spent 2 years in their own school, creating their own school identity. They have blended together well. I see them walking down the halls together, talking to new friends, or maybe reacquainting themselves. So better than I expected.
And then when you combine staffs from 2 middle schools, there can be challenges there. What was it like bringing the staffs of James Island Middle and Fort Johnson Middle together as well? Because obviously you have a presence of those individuals who worked at those 2 schools.
Correct. That wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be either. There definitely we were 2 different staffs. James Island Middle School is a much smaller school. Therefore, as a small staff, they didn't have many opportunities to collaborate with other teachers on their grade level that teach the same subject. And of course, you know, we did at Fort Johnson Middle School. So blending has given the teachers from James Island an opportunity to co-plan like they never had before. It's also opened up the opportunity for me to look at other people that had other skill sets and see how I could create strong leadership team.
There was a lot of community involvement before the school started in August of this year, a lot of public meetings. I'm just curious now, as you're 3 months into the school year, what's been the community input like, the parents that are now here with their students? What have they been talking to you and your staff about? What do they like that they see from Camp Road Middle?
Well, from the sixth grade perspective, the parents are much happier than they ever thought they were going to be. There was so much skepticism over the summer at the end of last school year about the merger especially with the rising sixth graders. They're pleasantly surprised. They're very happy. I have a strong sixth grade team that knows what they're doing, and they've been able to embrace all of these young sixth graders, 250 of them, and being in trailers, cottages we call them, Cottageville is not bad at all. It's the best place to be, and parents have seen that. They love it, and that's been good, definitely.
So take us back to why this was done, why Charleston County School District felt having one central location for a middle school, for the elementary schools to feed into one middle school, so then that middle school can then feed into James Island Charter School or other schools across the district. From your mind, take us back to why that was done and how it's playing out with the hopes that we all had for how this would play out.
Okay. I need to go back to November of 2014 when voters went to the poll on election day to vote for an extension of Charleston County School District's building phase for the next 6 years, 2016 to 2022. At that point in time, there were 35 projects listed on the ballot to keep the penny sales tax for another 6 years. And on that ballot, one of the 35 items was a new Fort Johnson Middle School. And that the voters voted overwhelmingly to continue the penny sales tax for another 6 years. So then in January of 2015, a task force was put together by Charleston County School District representing the 4 elementary schools and the 2 middle schools, PTA, School Improvement Council, and teachers. And then we had to answer the first question: what does a new Fort Johnson Middle School look like? What does that mean? The task force came to the decision that we didn't think it was fair or equitable on James Island to have a brand new Fort Johnson Middle School and James Island Middle School continue with its same facility. Then we would continue to have some of the same perceptions that we had on the island, which is that one middle school was better than the other. So the task force's recommendation was merge, have one brand new middle school, build it on the Fort Johnson site since there's more land there and more recreation space in the back, and transition here for a 3-year time period. And that recommendation was taken out on the road, as I'll say, to 3 of the elementary schools and 1 combined middle school meeting before the Board of Trustees voted on it. And there were, in between all that, there were surveys that elementary parents did too to get a feel for whether they liked that idea or not.
So it's working out, but as you just alluded to, we're here on the campus of the old James Island Middle School, and in a few years we'll be moving to the new site for Camp Road Middle. How many challenges, or what kind of challenges do you face when you know this is a temporary home and that you're looking out in the future and looking forward to being in that new building, but this is the home right now? How do you make this a comfortable temporary home for your staff and your students?
By being flexible, monitoring and adjusting. For example, first of all, let me just go back up and say I love the layout of this facility. We have all the 6th graders in the back in trailers, isolated, and that's a perfect place for them to be, and they don't have any opportunity to mix with 7th and 8th graders. We have 8th graders on one side of the building and 7th graders on the other side of the building, so how they're spread out is ideal. The challenge is we're a little bit landlocked, so when it comes to things like recess and PE that occur at the same time, we have to be flexible, we have to talk to each other. For example, when the PE teacher wants to use the side playground that's used for recess to have flag football outside, then we have to monitor and adjust 7th grade recess to say, okay, you need to move over to the other side of the campus over here. And we figured that out, and we know it's temporary, and knowing that it's temporary, it's a little easier to deal with.
So I've kind of made you answer some of the harder questions about the lead up to and how things are being carried out here. So I want to give you one opportunity to kind of express some of the neat things that students are getting a chance to participate in. Got some trophies that you guys have already collected back here in just a short time here at Camp Road Middle. But just from your perspective, looking at some of the neat things that are happening with the students here at the school and out in the community.
Okay. Well, I'd like to say, first of all, that we just had our Q1 honor roll assembly. And like I said earlier, we took the best of both worlds to mesh them. We recognized 441 students who made either principal's honor roll, straight A, or AB honor roll. And with that was something, well, everything's new for 6th grade, as you said earlier, but part of what we did is brand new for 7th and 8th graders that attended the JI middle school last year. Is it was a formal assembly where every child was recognized, and then a Chick-fil-A sponsored breakfast after that, which was something a little new, sponsored by the PTO. The Project Lead the Way Engineering is brand new for all of us here. Expansion of the foreign language program. Before, one middle school had Spanish and French, the other middle school just had Spanish. So now we've opened French up for kids. Neither school had a chorus program before. Now we have chorus. We did start last year by merging our bands as best we could on 2 separate campuses. The 6th grade band was small last year by comparison this year, even though we bused the James Island Middle School 6th graders over to Fort Johnson last year. We just still didn't have the numbers. We had a concert last night for 6th grade and had 75 6th graders. So just the fact that we're merged, we're on one campus, that was an eye-opening experience to me last night, looking and seeing the difference in numbers from like 42 to 75 in 1 year, simply because we're here, we're together, and kids can participate. Band, chorus, strings, engineering, French are some of the advantages. Also, this school had some great after-school clubs that the other school didn't have. We're continuing those clubs, and now we have more opportunities for kids. And by the same token, we had a few over there that they didn't have here, so we've expanded the options.
All right, well, Principal Parler, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule
You bet.
to talk about all the great things that are happening here at Camp Road Middle, the newest middle school in Charleston County School District. We'll be right back with more here at Camp Road and on CCSD Today.
Kids learn it at their own pace, to remediate on their own, see their own results, celebrate their successes right there.
I think it's easier for me to do things like online, like it captures my attention better than like doing it in books.
It's just made it easy. It is. It's made it easy, and the kids like it.
There are a lot of pictures. Sometimes it can be really funny, and some stories are make-believe.
I would never have believed that we would be a school that would be fully, implementing technology in every classroom. So we did it, and it's due to McGraw-Hill.
Welcome back to CCSD Today. We are still here at Camp Road Middle and now joined by one of the school counselors here at Camp Road, Erica Chucci. Erica, thanks for taking some time out of your schedule to speak with us. Erica also serves as a school publicity rep, so I get to interact with her on a pretty regular basis as well, and they're really good about reaching out to the district and letting us know about some unique opportunities. But really, this is a unique opportunity for students and staff that has happened here at Camp Road Middle. And I'm just curious, from your point of view as a school counselor, what's it been like to see the staffs from Old Fort Johnson and Old James Island Middle come together for a common purpose and get this thing going in the right direction?
I've been very, I guess I should say, I almost feel rewarded to be a part of this process because we weren't sure, you know, who would come and go and who would stick around, and everybody wanted to stick around, which was very pleasing, and to see everybody come together with all their new ideas. So that's definitely been a huge benefit to see the staff from one school and the staff from another school collaborate with their best ideas. So we could throw away some things that maybe weren't working so well and bring forward some things that were going to be effective. And brainstorming two teams together motivated us to start the year in a very positive direction.
What did it take for the staffs? Because now you're one staff, you know, and maybe even over the summer period, there was still like Old James Island Middle, Old Fort Johnson Middle. What did it take to get that unity that you needed to hit the ground running in August so that you are Camp Road Middle School?
So we did start thinking about that, brainstorming probably even as early as January last year, how we could best bring two sets of people together. And so we did some socializing, we did some icebreaker activities. We chartered a boat and went out in the harbor and did some just some getting to know you activities. And then over the summer when we got together for early meetings, did some small group activities where we had to work with people we hadn't before and get to know their learning styles and their personality styles, because I think it's important, especially as a guidance counselor, to understand how people learn and how people work before you just jump into the everyday work situation. So we did a lot of preparatory activities to get to know each other and better understand where we're coming from instead of just coming back to work on August 17th and winging it.
So obviously this was a curveball for students that had been at one of the two old middle schools, specifically as Principal Parler alluded to, the 8th graders. You're a guidance counselor for 8th graders here at Camp Road Middle. What was done, or maybe the 8th graders as a collective kind of took this upon themselves to step up, but what was done effectively so that students that might have identified, and rightfully so, as Fort Johnson students or James Island Middle students, for them to say, you know what, now we're 7th and 8th graders at Camp Road Middle?
So again, we started planning some of those things back in the spring, also winter, spring of last year. We brought, guidance actually brought the 7th and 8th graders over separately. I guess they were 6th and 7th graders then. For over here for some tours to get to know new teachers, the lay of the building, and they had the opportunity to ask individual questions to Mr. Parler and the rest of the administration and guidance, what to expect. There were a lot, I'm sure the kids had their own set of rumors and perceptions that we wanted to address so that they didn't have any fears about moving or about the children who were currently at this campus with all these new children coming in. So we did activities for both sets and then brought them together. We had a donut social at the end of the school year last year so that they could mingle, and had some getting to know you games then. And then we had a big festival at the very end of last school year for the whole community to come meet teachers, play games together, get some good food, and celebrate this new beginning. And I think that that helped ease a lot of the students' fears and answer their questions about what was going to happen.
So Principal Parler said a lot more opportunities now in place for all the students here at Camp Road Middle, whether it's languages, whether it's after school clubs, but there's also some unique opportunities that you guys have done. One is adopting pumas at Charlestown Landing. Just curious if you can kind of go into more detail about some of these unique opportunities that now exist for students, all middle school students on James Island.
Right. So, you know, one of the fears about a larger campus and larger numbers is that students won't have opportunity. They might get lost in the shuffle. But the opposite has proven to be true here. The numbers have provided more opportunities for clubs, sports, larger parent pools for PTOs, and that's what led to the Pumas.
Okay.
The PTO has helped us sponsor the Pumas or Cougars at the Charlestown Landing, and our plaque and our logos on their cages, and we get to go visit them, and we can do some service work with the cats, and so that's a very unique opportunity. And then coming back over to campus, because they had, you know, one set of clubs and another set of clubs, now we've got double the clubs and double there's more opportunities for the students to explore their interests, whereas at one campus there were, you know, very limited number of things, and students were excluded because of that. And now we have more available activities for them, so that I feel like more students are included than excluded.
And then also from your perspective as a staff member, knowing this is a temporary home, how do you make a temporary home feel permanent and feel safe and inclusive, knowing it's not your permanent home?
Right, that's a great question. And I think part of that is letting the students, we've been getting lots of feedback from the students, asking them for their ideas of how to make this school theirs. We, you know, let them design some of their Fun Friday activities and some of their positive behavior rewards, and even ideas for things like field trips and in-school presentations, and just all sorts of different avenues to investigate by including them and their ideas, so that we make sure that we're hitting all different types of students and making sure that they feel like this is their place.
Principal Parler also referenced the fact that this is an opportunity to handle and become flexible. And obviously this is something that had to be done well by the staff, because the students will pick up on things that they see from their teachers, the guidance counselors, people in the front office. So what kind of message have you guys tried to relay to the students when it comes to being flexible, learning how to be in a new building, to merge staff, to fix things, to adjust to things? How do you feel like that's gone, and how has the staff helped the students learn to be flexible? Because obviously that is an important life skill.
Definitely, and I think as a guidance counselor, that's how I've related it to the students is, you know, the more we can learn to be flexible and independent and adapt to our situation, the better you're going to be in high school and college and careers. And so they see us like, oh, we have to change the schedule today so that we can make sure everybody gets recess and PE and things like that. That may mean that you might go to the library tomorrow instead of today. You know, that happens in real world situations all the time. So I think it's just a matter of drawing the comparisons to how will these skills apply to everyday situations when you're an adult. And you're learning this now, and that's great. You're going to be more adaptable and better in real life situations.
Well, Erica, thanks for stepping in, talking about this merger and this new opportunity here on James Island with Camp Road Middle. From your perspective, it's awesome to have this opportunity to be out here. We'll be right back as we move over to Deer Park Middle in North Charleston as we continue on CCSD Today.
Kiowa Cares represents a really unique way and an organized way for folks who live here on Kiowa to connect, partner, and help those who live in our neighborhood, which includes Johns and Wadmalaw Island.
And the idea was that many, many people who live on Kiowa very generously work as individuals in the community. But we felt as a community association, we needed to do more in a unified way to be good neighbors. And out of that came the idea of Kiowa Cares.
They brought volunteers, but most of all, they brought love. They showed love, and they said, we want to be a good neighbor, and they have been a good neighbor to me and to this community.
Kiowa Cares quickly jumped on board and was really excited about the idea of supporting the local farmers and supporting the Johns Island community as well.
We're excited about the partnership, and we are in constant communication, updating them on things that that we are working on, areas where I continue to see improvement, I share with them. And so it's like we are in tune, working together, one common goal, and it's all beginning to come together.
What it means to me to be a part of Kiowa Cares is I'm able to do things I wouldn't normally have done on my own. I get the sense of community when I work with them.
We're trying to put good people in touch with organizations that could use their help.
And welcome back to CCSD Today. You can tell we've changed venues. We are now at Deer Park Middle School, and I'm joined by the principal of Deer Park, Paul Padron. Paul, thanks for taking time out of your schedule to speak with us today. This is year 2 of Deer Park, and obviously when you start something new, and this is totally new, it's not a new building, this is something that Charleston County School District was able to purchase from Northwoods Academy, but this is a new school. Definitely. And I'm just curious from your perspective how it has gone. What are some of the benefits to creating a school from scratch, and then some of the challenges you've had to work on to make this your own?
Sure. Some of the benefits are actually some of our challenges also at the same time. The great thing about starting a new school, you can chart the direction. You can chart do things differently. So it gives you an opportunity to really try new things because nothing's set in stone. You know. With that being said, it also creates the challenges when you have to reinvent every single thing. There's not a pattern. There's not a form that was used. There's not an identity. So you have to start building the culture of the school from the very beginning, and that's what we've been focusing on for the past 2 years, developing a culture of excellence here.
Paul, what's your history with Charleston County School District as far as how long you've worked in the district and also just kind of your career path that's led you to being a principal here at Deer Park?
Well, all 25 of my years have been with Charleston County. I'm a passionate educator. I believe in education is the key to everything. It's the equalizer. I started out working as a teacher. I taught at Brentwood Middle School. Well, actually, I taught at Chicora High School many years ago, and then went to Brentwood Middle School, taught at Brentwood Middle School for 9 years. From there, I became the assistant principal at Lang Middle School. Spent 4 years at Lang Middle School, and then went to Hot Gap Middle School as a principal. I had the fortunate opportunity to implement the Advanced Studies program there, get that school moving and going. And then from there I became the Executive Director of Access and Opportunity for the district, focusing on school choice, ESOL, the arts, curriculum and instruction. From there I became the Assistant Associate Superintendent with 5 middle schools, focusing on the 5 Title I middle schools. And then I became the Interim Associate Superintendent 2 years ago and finished out the term from there. When the opportunity came to open up a new school, it was something I had not done. I'd built a new school. I've refurbished another school, but I've never opened up something new like this, so it was a great opportunity to kind of jump in.
How do you feel all those experiences have led to this moment and prepared you to lead a new middle school?
Well, it really has helped me tremendously because I know the things that create a sustaining school, a school that is a comprehensive middle school. And that's exactly what I wanted to have here, is a comprehensive middle school. So having those experiences, knowing what kids need to know and be able to do, was vital. The time I spent in curriculum instruction was vital. Being a Title I school, many of our kids come with some challenges, so having the tools in my background that I can help scaffold those challenges was really helpful.
When you start a new school from scratch, you also establish a new feeder pattern, and there are 2 middle schools that now, or 2 elementary schools that now feed into Deer Park, and that's A.C. Cochran and Ladson Elementary. What's it been like working with the principals there and just staff and just kind of the overall area to kind of understand and generate enthusiasm that these 2 elementary schools are feeding into Deer Park?
It's great. I have 2 great colleagues at those schools, and we work very closely. We talk a lot. This is our community, so we're really very passionate about providing services for our students. When we opened up last year, the 5th grade teachers came from those 2 schools, so they became part of our staff. As we move forward next year, we will only be 6th, 7th, and 8th grade next year. Those 5th grade teachers may go back to the elementary schools. We have a common thread there, that some of the teachers that were there are now with us and they may be going back. So it's really a nice connection.
You hit on something very unique that's happening here at Deer Park. When the school opened last year, it was 5th and 6th grade. This year it's 5th, 6th, and 7th. The 5th grade will phase out going into next year, but for last year and this year, what's it been like to have 5th graders at a middle school? Something, again, a unique challenge for Deer Park Middle, but there are some advantages that come with that experience for these 5th graders. What have you seen play out for those grades?
There are some advantages, and having a 5th grade at middle school, the advantages are you get them for 4 years when you have a 5, 6, 7. You know, middle school is the only level of schooling where you only get them for 3 years, so making connections with the community and the families becomes challenging. When you're in elementary, you have them from kindergarten all the way to 5th grade, so you're talking 6 years, and when you're in high school, you're talking a minimum of 4. You know, and so middle school having only 3 years creates the challenges of connectivity with the families. But having them a year earlier really helps us to transition academically into the levels of thinking that's required in middle school. That has been great. The socialization process I'm a little concerned about, because I really, you know, we push kids a little bit too quickly, you know, in climate and culture. We really want to keep them as young as we can for as long as we can. So that's about the only challenge. You know, 5th grade, big difference between 5th graders and 6th graders, big difference in conversations between 5th graders and 6th graders. So we have done our best to keep our 5th grade as isolated as possible without, you know, them feeling that they're not part of the school. So it's been a unique challenge, but one that we've actually enjoyed trying to figure out.
One of the opportunities then for those 5th graders that have come here last year and this year is they've got to experience a drive that you've had and staff has had here to really expose them and everybody else that's here to a higher sense of rigor. That's something that obviously across the district we really need to push in our neighborhood schools. How have you seen that play out for the staff and for the students when it comes to really developing rigor and understanding that the students need to be exposed to some things that might make them uncomfortable in their educational status, but will help them for the future?
Sure. You know, and that's where I think my experience is working at the district level and working with other middle schools and seeing the challenges that they come in has really helped me out. You know, developing a sense of rigor in the classroom that's required for the kind of thinking that our new standards call is really, it's hard. It's hard work, and you have to really change your whole focus on teaching, where the teacher becomes a facilitator of learning, and instead of, you know, sitting and just regurgitating information. Now the teacher has to process that information with the students and get them to think about the learning. We have done a lot of work on getting kids to talk and collaborate, you know, thinking, expanding the thinking by getting them to share ideas. It's no longer okay just to memorize an answer. You've got to not only know the answer, but why is it the best answer? Why would you not do it a different way? And show me how you did it and why it's the best way. Prove that it's correct. When we're reading, we're doing a lot of text-dependent reading. We're looking at where's the proof in the reading. Getting them prepared to the levels of rigors that you need to be in AP courses later on.
Also, starting a school from scratch means you have to develop community partners that weren't there before because the school didn't exist before, and also kind of creating an idea with the parents that we need you. So how is that process going, and what would you like to see from parents of students here at Deer Park, as well as the community members and community partners that are here in this area?
Well, we have an incredible group of parents. They are very committed to the education of their children. Many of them face a lot of challenges because they're working multiple jobs and trying to manage elementary school kids, high school kids, and middle school kids. And sometimes those middle school kids become a challenge, you know. But what I would love to see is a little more participation from our parents, a little more involvement in children's education, focusing on not just PTA, but really focusing on the school, developing the school. One of the challenges that we had, because we were a conversion school, it was a private school prior to, is that not many people know we're here. Mm-hmm. So that had become a challenge because it's not like a brand new building that, you know, there's a lot of media coverage on. This is an existing building and a new program, so people don't know very much. But once they find out about it and they get more involved, I'm seeing an increase. I'd love to see a lot more.
Final question, Paul. What do you hope Deer Park becomes known for? What do you hope will stand out this year and years down the road, and what people that are in the community will come back, and what will they see here at Deer Park Middle School?
You know, our student creed really defines everything we want them to do. We want them to be positive managers of obstacles, you know, not think that whatever obstacle life brings them, they can still overcome them, that they are lifelong learners, that they want to learn, they want to be, give back to the community, that we're providing a strong pathway for our high schools, you know, to develop our high schools, and that they have the ability to, whatever job or career they choose, whether it be continued education in college, 4-year, 2-year, military, jobs, whatever it is, that they have the skills that they need, and not only the academic skills, but also the social skills to be able to work in collaborative groups and with different people, a diverse group of people. We are very fortunate. We are an extremely diverse school, and I love the diversity because the diversity adds to the thinking. You know, when you get kids from different backgrounds, you know, we have Portuguese, we have Hispanic, we have multiple races. You know, it's really truly a very, very diverse school.
Well, Paul, thank you again for taking time out of your schedule to speak with us, and we're looking forward to seeing all the great things that Deer Park's going to accomplish, not just what they're accomplishing now, but in the future.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll be right back with more here on CCSD Today.
I'm Jenna Dewan Tatum.
I'm Julia Ormond.
I'm Machen Amick.
And
I'm Rachel Boston.
Every 2 minutes, a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer.
Breast cancer will claim over 39,000 lives this year. But that won't be me. Or me.
I won't let that be me.
The end of breast cancer starts with me.
And you.
And you.
And you.
Go to mylifetime.com to get informed and involved.
Brought to you by Cruise Subaru of Charleston. You've got a friend in the car business.
Welcome back to the show. We're still here at Deer Park Middle School, now joined by an English language arts teacher, and that would be Angie Grimes. Angie, thank you for joining the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Excited to talk about what you're doing here at Deer Park Middle. Again, we established you're an ELA teacher, also teach one class of social studies here at Deer Park. From your perspective, being at a new school, this is only the second year of existence for Deer Park, what's that like considering you have over almost 2 decades of teaching experience, but it's a new school, a new experience here?
Well, I chose to work at Deer Park for that specific purpose, that it was a brand new school and we got to create it from scratch. Because the exciting part is that there was no preconceived notion of what the culture or climate of the school was already. So we had the chance to create something from scratch, create a brand new climate and a brand new community perception of a middle school in the community.
What do you hope Deer Park is starting to become known for? I asked Principal Padron that, but from your perspective as a teacher, as an educator, what are you hoping people recognize Deer Park to stand for?
Within the community, we're hoping that Deer Park represents a caring environment that pushes children to be their academic best and provides opportunities for rigorous learning and personal growth through extracurricular activities as well.
You live in this area, you live in Ladson. This is near and dear to your heart to make sure that the scholars that attend here are going to have a positive impact while they're here, not just at the school but in the community, and then when they graduate, move on to high school, and when they move on from high school to whatever, that they're going to have a positive impact on the community you live in. So from your perspective, can you just kind of sum up the passion that you bring to your job, knowing that this directly affects the community you live in?
Well, one of the things is I want to see the community feel positive about our schools. Unfortunately, there's a lot of negative perceptions about our local community schools. And to create more positive interactions with the community, and people can see that our school does wonderful things and that our children, our scholars, are wonderful individuals. So really, that's one of my big passionate pieces, is to get people to be invested in our schools. And as more people in the community believe in our school and are becoming invested in what we do here, we also feel the positive impact of that, and we grow even stronger as well.
What have you seen from the students as they internalize and become the symbols of what this school is about? Have they taken that on? Do they realize that they're part of doing something unique and new and special?
Actually, I'm not sure that they're aware of that. As you know, adolescents, yeah. They still see it as it's school. Mm-hmm. They don't realize that they're almost like pioneers, and they actually are also part of the creating force of what's happening with our school and how we're being perceived and how we get to grow and where we can go and become.
I know that Principal Padron has really looked at making sure that this community school is known for students being involved in rigorous situations in the classroom. That is very important to bring different ideas that will really help these children challenge themselves, look at different ways to learn, and that they can kind of explain how they're learning. From your perspective in the classroom, how's that playing out? What are some of the initiatives and what's the energy that you put behind trying to make sure that there is rigor in each of the classes that you teach?
Well, a lot of what we're doing, we're trying to get the scholars ready to be competitive in real life, in college, high school, careers. And a lot of that is understanding, how to collaborate, how to discuss, how to make creative decisions on your own. And so we're bringing that, and that's a lot of what we're pushing with our instruction. Is independent decision making, independent problem solving, and then also working as teams. So the teacher trying to step aside as the facilitator, pushing you like, here's the direction I need you to go. Now you need to take it there. That's been a lot of what we're doing in promoting them as individuals. Specific instructional routines. We really are emphasizing the discussion, how to have collegial academic discussions among the students. So as pairs, as small groups, and even coming together as an entire class with Socratic seminars. The scholars are learning how to come to the classroom prepared. So they have to front load, they need to be prepared ahead of time so that they can discuss things intellectually with supportive evidence and always being able to explain why they're thinking the way they are, and then also learning how to have discussions back and forth with each other, explaining why you agree or disagree with what somebody else has said, recognizing individuals' contributions to the discussion, and then building on that. So that it's not a natural thing for young people to converse back and forth about academics. So really establishing the protocols of what that looks like, what that sounds like, and how do you come prepared to handle this discussion.
That's a nice perspective when it comes to that. But something else that I wanted to ask you about is what happens after the school day ends with extracurricular activities and clubs. That is important for schools to have. And when you start from scratch, there's nothing established beforehand. So that is on the staff to create those opportunities. So where are you guys at? What are you hoping as you guys move forward when it comes to creating those extra opportunities for students to experience once the school day is done?
We are adding more almost monthly as to what it is we want as an extracurricular opportunity for scholars. That has been a challenge. As we started, there's nothing that's preset. There's nobody to take charge of it. Like nobody was already running it. We don't have the background materials. So anybody that comes, it's wide open also as your opportunity to take on a leadership role with the children. But at this point, we have established athletics, basketball teams, and cheerleading. So we definitely have those established. We've begun establishing some academics. We'll have a Quest team this year to compete at Trident. The Model UN Club has just getting established. We have a media club, so scholars at work to put on the morning news show. We have a Girls on the Run academic club, so self-esteem and athletics combined. So it is developing. We still are looking to establish a student council, the academic beta clubs. So we still have room for more, an athletic program still needing to grow as well. But that, again, is something that's exciting and challenging as we're trying to find the people to do it, the time to do it, and then just establishing all the routines and procedures that go along with those organizations.
If you had to sum up your experience so far at Deer Park, and if there's an educator that's interested in Deer Park and possibly joining the staff here, what would you say about the experience so far and why someone should consider becoming part of the family here at Deer Park Middle School?
My experience here has been very positive. I'm very excited to be a part of something that's new and to be able to try to shape the way a school goes, the climate of it, the activities, the way the community and the children perceive their experiences here at school. So, I mean, that's one of the things, if somebody is really interested in trying to shape, kind of like make their mark within a school, this is definitely the place to be. The children, the community, they're receptive to what's happening here, you know, excited about it, even if not everybody's always aware of exactly the exciting potential of what's happening here. But you know, they can kind of feel like there's something different happening, and it is energizing as well.
Angie, thank you very much. Awesome stuff.
Thank you.
From Angie Grimes here at Deer Park Middle School. We'll be right back to close out the show when we come back.
Some problems are tough. Reaching your customers shouldn't be. Blue Wave and Comcast have the creative edge to make you stand out from the crowd and connect with your customers. Whether you need a commercial for television, video for your website, or a custom-made website, we are the easy solution for every advertising problem.
So that'll do it for this edition of CCSD Today. We hope you've enjoyed learning about the 2 new middle schools here in Charleston County School District, Camp Road Middle on James Island and Deer Park Middle here in the North area. Special thanks to David Parler and Erica Chucci at Camp Road for speaking with us, and special thanks to Paul Padron and Angie Grimes here at Deer Park. That'll do it. We'll see you next time on CCSD Today. I'm Andy Pruitt. Take care.